incredible coordination and knowledge. But the most intriguing thing is that many of the statues were deliberately toppled face down. Why? There is a theory that at a certain point, a social or religious upheaval occurred on the island, and the worship of the Moai was stopped. Some even believe that there was a clash between two cultures or sects here, and to this day, no one can fully explain how a small civilization, lacking metal and wheels, managed to erect such grand monuments. Did they possess knowledge that we no longer have? Interestingly, in recent years, hidden caves and ritual structures have been discovered on the island, which may shed light on these questions. In recent decades, archaeology has gained a powerful tool LiDAR technology that allows researchers to scan the ground through the jungle canopy. And one of the most exciting areas of its application has turned out to be in Central America, in the lands of the ancient Maya. With the help of LiDAR, archaeologists have discovered thousands of previously unknown structures: pyramids, roads, walls, and terraces. It turned out that Maya cities were much larger than we had thought. Some of them merged into giant agglomerations with populations of hundreds of thousands of people. This completely changes our understanding of the scale of their civilization.
وبالجنيه المصري.
In 1985, archaeologists in Bulgaria excavated a burial site that was immediately dubbed the Bulgarian Troy. They found a tomb filled with gold items, rings, necklaces, goblets, weapons, and most importantly, magnificent golden artifacts date back to the 5th century BC and are connected to the ancient Thraciansa people about whom we know surprisingly little. The Thracians were mentioned by the Greeks and Romans as wild barbarians, but the discovery showed that this was a highly developed society with skilled craftsmen, a complex religion, and powerful kings. The golden masks were funerary symbols of power, and the burials indicated that there was an elite here whose wealth was comparable to that of the Egyptian pharaohs. But even more astonishing is that these finds were made in a place that had previously been considered just ordinary hilly terrain. Who could have imagined that such treasures were hidden beneath our feet? Archaeologists believe that Bulgaria may still hold dozens more such burial sites. They just haven't been excavated yet. And here's what is especially intriguing. Some of the golden masks are adorned with strange symbols that have yet to be deciphered. What if this is part of a lost language or a system of signs that could reveal new chapters in the history of Europe? Recently, archaeologists received information about yet another burial mound, which might be even larger. In recent years, archaeologists in Norway have made several astonishing discoveries. Using ground-penetrating radar, they have found entire Viking ships buried underground. These vessels, dating from the 9th and 10th centuries, were used for the burials of chieftains and nobility. Previously, finds of this scale were extremely rare, the famous Osberg ship, for example. But the new discoveries show that Viking burial ships were much more widespread than we previously thought. Moreover, remains of settlements, ritual complexes, and workshops have been found nearby. This allows us to see the organization of Viking life in a new light. Research shows that the Vikings were not just raiders, as they are often portrayed, but also skilled traders, sailors, and builders. Their ships had outstanding engineering features. They were light, maneuverable, and capable of crossing the Atlantic. But the most intriguing thing is the new data about Viking routes. Judging by the findings, they ventured much farther south than previously thought, and may even have had contact with the Muslim world. Among the artifacts, there are items brought from the Arab Caliphate and Byzantium. Who knows, maybe soon archaeologists will uncover the legendary ships that, according to the sagas, set out on voyages about which history is still silent. For a long time it was believed that Neanderthals were primitive, crude beings who were inferior to modern humans in every way. But archaeological discoveries of recent decades are forcing us to reconsider this view. At Neanderthal sites, complex tools, ornaments, works of art, and most importantly, burials that indicate rituals have been discovered. This means that Neanderthals possessed abstract thinking, the ability for symbolic perception of the world, and possibly even the beginnings of religion. Scientists have found shell spots and even musical instruments like flutes made from animal bones. All of this points to a much more complex culture than we previously assumed. Moreover, genetic studies show that Neanderthals interbred with the ancestors of modern humans, and part of their DNA still lives on in us today. One of the most astonishing facts is the recent discoveries suggesting that Neanderthals may have engaged in painting, and quite sophisticated painting at that. And if this is confirmed, it will mean we have to completely rewrite the history of art. But there is also more mysterious evidence, traces of technologies that we have not yet been able to fully explain. Did Neanderthals possess knowledge that we do not expect? Some archaeologists are already openly saying that we have underestimated these ancient relatives. In the mountains of Peru, archaeologists have found traces of ancient rope bridges that connected mountain valleys and Inca cities. These bridges were made from braided grass ropes and could support hundreds. The secret is in a unique weaving technique that was passed down from generation to generation. The most amazing thing is that some of these bridges still exist to this day. They are renewed every year by local communities, preserving ancient traditions. But excavations have shown that the network of bridges was much more extensive than previously thought. It spanned thousands of miles, connecting cities, fortresses, and terraces. Archaeologists studied the anchor points of these bridges and concluded that Inca engineers possessed remarkable knowledge of materials, load calculations, and even vibrations. Without metal, without writing, without wheels, they created a transportation system comparable to Roman roads. There is evidence that some bridges served not only for transportation but also for rituals. For example, on special days, ceremonies related to the gods of the mountains and the sun were held on them. And recent discoveries show that beneath many bridges there are hidden chambers and vaults that may have been used to store treasures. Perhaps behind every mountain trail there are secrets we don't even suspect. In Kenya, archaeologists have found the oldest known tools, which are estimated to be over 3 million years old. These are stone tools that were made long before the emergence of the genus Homo, to which we belong. This discovery literally shook the scientific world because it was previously believed that only members of the genus Homo were capable of making tools. But these findings show that much more ancient ancestors already possessed complex motor skills and knowledge of materials. They selected suitable stones, chipped off pieces to create sharp edges, and used them for processing food or other tasks. This means that the beginning of human technological evolution needs to be pushed much further back than previously thought. Or perhaps it needs to be reconsidered altogether. Who knows how many more ancient tools are still hidden beneath the African savannas? Recent excavations show that near the sites where ancient tools have been found, there are even older layers that may hold traces of those we don't even know about yet. Archaeologists are already preparing new expeditions. In 1974, Chinese farmers stumbled upon strange clay figures while digging a well near the city of Xi'an. This is how one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century was made: the terracotta army of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Thousands of clay warriors, horses, and chariots, all life-sized, each with a unique face, clothing details, and weaponry. This astonishing burial site was created to accompany the emperor in the afterlife. The emperor's own tomb has not yet been opened. It lies a gigantic mausoleum with models of palaces, rivers of mercury, and countless endless quest where every new page can change everything. And perhaps the most truly thrilling discovery is still waiting for its moment. At the beginning of the 20th century, near the sunken ship, among the wreckage, they discovered a heavily corroded lump of bronze and wood. At the time, no one knew that this modest artifact would revolutionize our understanding of ancient technology. And it remains one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries in history. When the artifact was cleaned, gears began to emerge from beneath the layer of rust. It turned out to be a device with more than 30 gears, capable of predicting astronomical positions, solar and lunar eclipses, the phases of the moon, and even the Olympic Games. All of this was contained in a small wooden box that resembled an analog computer. Imagine the silence of the jungle, and suddenly, from dozens of directions, comes the warrior could falter. The engineering of these whistles is astonishing. Inside, there is a complex system of channels that makes the sound especially eerie. Moreover, each one sounds different. It's possible they were also musical choirs of death. Modern acousticians still do not fully understand how exactly they achieved such effects. If sound alone can frighten, then what if the very shape of a structure makes your knees tremble? Pyramids that shouldn't exist. When we hear the word pyramid, Egypt immediately comes to mind. But what if someone told you that there are pyramids in China as well? And not just any pyramids, but ones so massive that they were hidden from the world for a long time? In the mid-20th century, American pilots flying over China accidentally photographed giant pyramids hidden among the hills. Some of them reach almost 100 feet in height. So why did no one know about them? The answer is both simple and strange. For many years, Chinese authorities did not allow scientists to go there. Only in recent decades have archaeologists gained access, and even then it's been limited. The pyramids are mostly covered with earth and vegetation, as if deliberately camouflaged. Many are convinced that the tombs of ancient emperors are hidden beneath them, but there is still no access to the central chambers. And now imagine, in Bosnia, right in Europe, a local archaeologist claimed to have discovered pyramid-shaped hills that even surpassed the Egyptian ones in their dimensions. The scientific community responded with ridicule, but when the terrain and soil were studied, it turned out that the structure was indeed geometrically precise, with clear edges, underground tunnels, and signs of ancient workmanship. So did humanity really build pyramids all over the world? Or is this the legacy of some forgotten civilization? For now, the answers remain buried beneath layers of earth and silence. But sometimes the answer isn't on the surface, but deep underground, and it can even kill. A tomb that opened a portal to hell. In the ancient city of Hierapolis, located in present-day Turkey, archaeologists stumbled upon a mysterious sanctuary known as the Plutonium. Ancient texts refer to this place to hell. It sounds like a myth. But this place really did exist. And even modern science couldn't explain everything right away. When scientists first entered the ruins, they discovered that birds and small animals were dying en masse near the entrance to the underground chamber. As soon as they got close, they would die in a matter of seconds. People, however, remained unharmed. All of this confirmed the ancient description. Priests would enter the temples and come out alive, while anyone who approached without preparation would die. It turned out to be eerily simple. Beneath the temple lies a geological fault from which carbon dioxide escapes. It accumulates near the surface and is invisible to the eye. For animals, it is deadly. The priests, however, knew how to avoid the trap. They walked higher up, where the air was cleaner, but how could the ancients perceive such a subtle difference? How did they use this natural phenomenon for religious purposes? This temple became proof of how deeply the ancients could manipulate fears and the forces of nature. They literally opened the portal to hell and used it to maintain mystique and power. But if death can be part of architecture, sometimes the mystery lies in mass and weight.
Только самые опытные и подготовленные сталкеры решаются отправиться сюда в поисках наживы. Будь бдителен, сталкер. Место повышенной опасности.
The unmovable sarcophagus of Saqqara. In Egypt, Saqqara, beneath a layer of sand, 30 massive sarcophagi made from solid black granite. Each one weighs dozens of tons. Polished that even modern technology would struggle to create them. And here's the question: how, when, and why? The sarcophagi are located deep underground, in the catacombs of the Serapeum. Transporting them through the narrow tunnels seems impossible. Some sight, but even that raises doubts. At such depth, without light, using primitive tools, there are just too many ifs. Besides their size, their finish is also astonishing. The inner surfaces are perfectly smooth, as if processed with industrial equipment. But these objects are over 2,000 years old. So, who was buried there? The most mysterious thing is that most of the sarcophagi are empty. No bodies, no treasures, only huge boxes, as if created not for storage, but for concealment. Archaeologists still haven't reached a consensus. Some believe these were burials for the sacred Apis bulls. But then why such gigantic and costly craftsmanship? If the weight is impressive, sometimes the shape says more than the contents. A desert full of ice. In the very heart of the South American hidden that cannot be seen from the ground. Abstract shapes are carved directly into the rocky surface. Some of them stretch for hundreds of feet. And now the main thing, all of this can truly be seen only from a bird's eye view. But the civilization that created them had no aviation whatsoever. Or did they? For decades, scientists have debated why create drawings that can be appreciated from the ground. There are many theories, from religious rituals to cosmic beacons for the gods. Some lines are perfectly aligned with the sun during the equinoxes, while others lead to water sources. But why draw a giant spider or a hummingbird the size of a city block? Amazingly, the lines are so precise that they create an effect of optical clarity even when viewed from above. The Nazca people used simple tools and ropes to measure out the proportions. But why go to so much effort for images that no living person could ever fully see? Recent discoveries show that more than 1,000 previously unknown figures are hidden in the desert. Some of them are only just beginning to be deciphered, and it seems that the meaning of these messages will remain out of reach for a long time. But while some were drawing on the ground, others were building right on the ocean floor. A city underwater. Coast of India, near the city of Dwarka, divers discovered something incredible: traces of an underwater city, stone streets, walls, anchors, and staircases. All of this lies at a depth of more than 100 feet. For centuries, ancient Indian texts have told of the city of... Many considered it a myth until science got involved. Research showed that the structures are indeed man-made and incredibly ancient. Some dating suggests they are 9,000 years old. This calls the accepted chronology of civilizations into question. Before the Sumerians, before the Egyptians, there were already cities underwater. Archaeologists have discovered numerous artifacts, including pottery and copper tools. This means the site was inhabited, developed, and then suddenly submerged, most likely due to a sharp rise in ocean levels. But the scale is astonishing. This is not just a village, it's a full-fledged city. Today, Dwarka is partially closed to unrestricted study, but are restricting access to the full data. Perhaps this is because acknowledging ancient Dwarka would change the entire history of the region. But if someone was able to build underwater, then someone else decided to speak to future generations through mysterious tablets, the Georgia Guidestones. On a hill in the American state of Georgia, at the end of the 20th century, monolithic stone slabs suddenly appeared, bearing messages in 8 languages including Hebrew, Chinese, Hindi, and Russian engraved with 10 commandments for a new humanity. No one knows who installed them. The sponsor used a pseudonym. His identity remains undisclosed to this day. The structure was instantly dubbed the American Stonehenge. It is aligned with the cardinal directions, actually serves as a modern megalith. But the main thing is its content. The first rule is to maintain the Earth's population at 500 million people. The remaining points concern control over reproduction, a single language, and a hint at global governance, almost a dystopia. Conspiracies, secret organizations, Freemasons, all of this instantly became associated with the mysterious tablets. The authorities dismissed it, saying it was just an art object. But then why bury a time capsule, make precise astronomical alignments, and spend millions? In 2022, the tablets were destroyed by unknown individuals. Someone decided that they carried a dangerous message. But the mystery itself only deepened. So who was really behind their creation? And yet some artifacts reach us not through stone but through coal. A mechanism in a bronze cube. In the 19th century, workers in an Austrian mine found a bronze object inside a lump of coal, resembling grooves. It was tightly encased in a layered coal seam, the age of which is estimated to be hundreds of millions of years old. Such an age contradicts not only the history of humanity, but the very possibility of any intelligent beings existing at that time. The artifact was examined by scientists, including metallurgists. It turned out to be an alloy with nickel impurities, clearly showing signs of artificial manufacture. The mechanical processing is obvious, straight edges, symmetry. But how could it have ended up in coal if metal only appeared tens of thousands of years ago? Some suggested that it was the result of a modern object ending up in the mine. But analysis showed that the coal around the object was undisturbed and the item itself was embedded in the rock. In other words, the find is indeed ancient. Later, the cube was lost, and today only its photographs and descriptions remain. This story did not provide a clear answer. It left a question. Is it possible that civilizations existed before us and simply disappeared, leaving behind rare, inexplicable fragments? But sometimes fusion, but a person themselves. Skulls that do not fit into the course of evolution. In the deserts of Peru, archaeologists have discovered dozens of skulls whose shapes deviate from all known anatomical norms. Elongated, extended, almost alien in appearance. Theories about aliens and ancient visitors immediately emerged, but the truth turned out to be no less mysterious. Some of the skulls were intentionally deformed. This was done from childhood, tightly binding infants' heads. Such a practice existed in various cultures from African to indigenous American. It symbolized high status, belonging to the nobility. But here's the problem. Some of the Peruvian skulls have anatomical features that cannot be produced artificially in increased volume, additional sutures, and unnatural placement of the eye sockets. Research has shown that this could be the result of some local mutation or the manifestation of an entirely different branch of humanity. Theories about forgotten tribes, underground peoples, and ancient biological experiments continue to circulate. One thing is clear: some skulls do not fit into classical evolution. While some argue, scientists continue to search for answers in bones that could rewrite history. But there are discoveries that are hard to wrap your head around, even under a microscope.
دلوقتي ممكن يحول لك فلوس من بره على فودافون كاش. شحطتك مش ببلاش، مفيش اهون من فودافون كاش.
صابون الديتول كول هتحسسك بانتعاش حتى 5 درجات أقل. ديتول كون متأكد 100%.
Spirals from the depths. In the 1990s, during geological work in the Urals, Russian researchers discovered something astonishing. In layers of Earth, at depths corresponding to ages from 100,000 to 300,000 years, they found tiny metal spirals so small that they are difficult to see with the naked eye. Their diameter ranges from a few microns to 1 millimeter. What are they made of? Of tungsten and molybdenum materials that humanity only learned to work with in the last century. The shape of these spirals is perfect. They resemble components of modern microcircuits or antennas. Their construction is so precise that some scientists consider them not a product of nature, but of technology. But how can the presence of such objects be explained in layers that are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years old? Official science is in no hurry to acknowledge their artificial origin. There are theories that these are the result of natural crystallization, some kind of geological accident, but the shapes are just too perfect. It's just too difficult to fit this into the laws of nature. Some researchers believe these spirals may be possible remnants of a long-lost civilization, or traces of an intervention we cannot comprehend. And while the world debates, tiny artifacts lie in museums, capable of turning everything upside down. And sometimes what amazes us about antiquity is not its size, but its function. Batteries from Babylon. In the mid-1930s, near Baghdad, archaeologists discovered a strange artifact, a clay vessel containing a copper cylinder, and inside it, an iron rod. All of this was filled with remnants of an acidic solution. And here's the question, why did the ancient inhabitants of Mesopotamia need this chemical setup? Researchers quickly came to a shocking conclusion. The construction resembled a primitive galvanic battery. Like modern batteries, it could generate an electric current, just simple citric acid or wine vinegar, and the device would start working. But why? What did they use the electricity for? One hypothesis is that it was a power source for electroplating gold. Supporting this theory are the ornaments found in the same regions, coated with a thin layer of gold that would be very difficult to apply by hand. Some researchers remain skeptical. Perhaps it was simply a vessel for storing scrolls, or for rituals. But then why are there metals inside that fit so precisely? Why is there an acidic residue? There are more questions than answers. Perhaps, if such batteries had been found in large numbers, we would already be talking about ancient electricity as commonplace. But for now, we are only glimpsing the outlines of a great technological past. And where there is technology, there is calculation. Sometimes, it is carved in stone for centuries to come. A calendar made of stone.